There's a certain kind of arrogance that comes with people who think rules don't apply to them. And this fake HOA cop was the perfect example. He wasn't law enforcement. He wasn't even on our land legally, but he carried himself like some self-appointed sheriff of the neighborhood. Every few days, his old beat-up truck would rumble down the road and stop right in front of our ranch gate. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a blatant act of disrespect. That road wasn't public. It was our private entryway, the kind of place you only park if you're family or invited. But he'd leave his truck there like it belonged, blocking the way whenever we needed to bring in hay, move equipment, or even just drive into town. It forced us to squeeze past on the side or wait until he felt like moving it, as though our daily life had to work around his schedule. Neighbors whispered about how he'd done the same to them, parking wherever he pleased and flashing some made-up HOA badge whenever they complained. To him, it was a game, a way to prove control. And he didn't care one bit about the frustration it caused at first. We figured the problem could be solved with a little respect and patience. My dad walked over to him the first time it happened and said politely, "Hey, you're parked on private property. Would you mind moving your truck?" The man just smirked, but eventually got in and drove off. A few days later, he was back again. Same spot, same attitude. This time, my mom tried, reminding him that we used that gate daily and needed the road clear. He nodded like he understood, but the truck stayed right where it was until hours later when he finally decided to leave. After that, it turned into a pattern. Every time he blocked our ranch entrance, we tried a different approach, firm words, calm explanations, even offering him a proper spot down the road where he wouldn't be in anyone's way. But none of it mattered. He treated our requests like a joke, acting as though we were being unreasonable for asking him not to block our own property. Each warning, each bit of kindness we showed, just seemed to make him bolder. It was like he thrived on ignoring us, as though testing how far he could push before someone snapped. What made the whole thing worse wasn't just the truck parked across our gate. It was the smug way he carried himself every time we confronted him. He'd lean against the hood with his arms crossed, pretending like he had every right in the world to be there. Sometimes, he even flashed around that ridiculous fake badge he kept on his belt, calling himself HOA Security, as if that title gave him authority on our ranch land. His smirk said everything. He believed he was untouchable. When we asked him to move, he dragged his feet, taking his time, almost daring us to lose our temper. It wasn't just an inconvenience anymore, it was a challenge. He wanted control, wanted to prove that no matter what we said, he could keep doing exactly as he pleased. The neighbors had seen it too. Some whispered that he had parked on their land and done the same routine, pretending to be in charge, acting like everyone else was beneath him. For him, it wasn't about parking, it was about power. Every time he blocked our ranch, it was a reminder that he thought he could push us around and laugh about it without consequence. Grandpa had been patient longer than anyone else in the family. But he was also the one who took disrespect the hardest. He'd worked that land his entire life, waking up before sunrise to tend the cattle, mend fences, and keep the ranch running. To him, every inch of that road carried history and pride, and watching some outsider treat it like a dumping ground for his rusty truck was more than just an inconvenience, it was an insult. Grandpa didn't yell, didn't argue, and didn't waste his breath on someone who clearly had no intention of listening. Instead, he quietly watched, waiting for the moment when he could make his point in a way that no one would ever forget. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills and the fake cop's truck sat once again across the gate, Grandpa walked to the shed with steady steps. He came out carrying a thick steel chain, the kind heavy enough to haul livestock trailers and pull tractors out of mud. With a calmness that almost felt eerie, he hooked one end of the chain to the truck's bumper and the other to his own old farm truck, tightening it down with deliberate care, The rumble of Grandpa's farm truck echoed across the ranch as he climbed into the cab, settled into the worn leather seat, and turned the key. The engine roared to life, and with a steady pull, the chain tightened until it clinked against the metal bumper of the fake cop's truck. There was no hesitation in Grandpa's eyes. He had made up his mind. Slowly at first, his truck began to roll forward, the chain stretching taut before yanking the other vehicle with a sharp jolt. Tires screeched against the dirt, gravel scattering in every direction as the so-called cop's truck slid across the ranch road. Grandpa kept moving, calm and unshaken, dragging the vehicle along as if it weighed nothing. Dust billowed up behind them, and the sound of grinding metal echoed in the air. He didn't stop at the gate, didn't pause when the path dipped downhill. He just kept pulling, guiding the truck straight toward the creek that wound its way through the edge of the property. With each bump over the uneven ground, the fake cop's prized vehicle jolted and twisted, until finally the front end splashed into the muddy water and the current began to swallow its tires by. The time the fake cop realized what had happened, his truck was already half sunk in the creek, water rushing around its wheels and mud pulling it deeper with every passing minute. He came storming back onto the ranch in a fury, shouting about how we'd pay for this, waving that same useless badge as if it meant anything. But this time, things didn't go the way he expected. Instead of siding with him, the neighbors started, gathering around, watching the scene unfold with folded arms and knowing looks. They had dealt with his arrogance too, had seen his truck blocking driveways and his smug grin whenever anyone complained. Now, for the first time, they weren't. Just annoyed in private, they were openly backing Grandpa. Some of them even chuckled at the sight of his truck being dragged like a toy, nodding as if to say, "It's about time someone put him in his place." The fake cop's threats grew louder, but his words carried no weight anymore. Every glare, every crossed arm, every nod from the neighbors told him he wasn't intimidating anyone. The balance had shifted, and for once, he wasn't the one in control.